What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Killzone Shadow Fall. Alright guys, well, as you guys can tell, we're starting at a deficit, right? 0-2. So basically I'm just kind of looking at the roster to see what my team is looking like at this point. Because, you know, not only are we down 2 missions, but we're already halfway into this particular objective. So I want you guys to pay close attention to mainly the footage, and then, you know, as a secondary thing, you can just go ahead and listen to the commentary. Mainly because I think this is one of yet another good examples of how key the role of the support class is. So now, one thing that you guys are going to notice is that I think it's going to be me and maybe one other guy that's primarily going to be dropping spawn beacons, right? And I know I've talked about this enough times, so for a lot of you guys that are really experienced, I know you guys, this may be kind of repetitive, but this is really a video to beat the drum to all these new guys who just seem to have a hard time understanding the importance of the support class. Now, why do I stress that? I think I mentioned in a previous video that there's a difference between playing a class and using a class, right? And there's far too many people who just use the class, but they're not really playing it. The difference is, you know, when you're using a class, I mean, you just select it just for, for GP for the most part, as opposed to playing a class. You know, that's more like when you are not only using it, but you are taking advantage of all of its abilities, right? So this is just going to be a good demonstration of me playing the class and showing how a team with good potential, you know, in a lot of cases, they just needs to be shoved in the right direction with 1 or 2 good support class members. So, like I said before, one thing that you guys are going to notice for the most part is that I think me and maybe one other person are going to be the only ones dropping spawn beacons. But it's really going to go to show how spawn beacon placement can really make or break a game. You know, because, you know, the way I see it, in a lot of these games, it really comes down to one of 2 things. Well, maybe one of 3 things, I don't know. One thing being that the team is not necessarily better than you, but they could be more organized than you, right? In other words, let's just say you have a lot more experienced players. And even though, you know, they haven't, you know, partied up, or perhaps they're not in a clan, but because you have a lot of experience on that team, as individuals, they need little guidance, right? So they just play well together. Then you have the other type that plays well mainly because they're a part of a consistent group. May it be a clan, may it be, you know, just buddies who play often together, and because they play often together, you know, they're more organized in the sense that they all recognize each other's strengths and weaknesses, and they play on those strengths and weaknesses. Then you have the other type that basically are just flat out better shooters. Now this situation arises when, let's just say, you know, you're with an inexperienced team. Perhaps they're new to the franchise. They're not necessarily familiar with the lack of aim assist, and, you know, just so happen you get a lot of them on your team. So in other words, it doesn't really matter what you do. Like, there's just no hope. And as a matter of fact, I think I'm going to upload a video that kind of demonstrates that, because it was me, Titan Fitness, and one other guy, right? And we were all on the chat together. And dude, I mean, we were dropping turrets, spawn beacons, everything, but no matter what we did, our team just basically wouldn't follow through. So in other words, if your team is not, in other words, if the opposition is not more organized, then in a lot of cases, they're better shooters. And better shooters could, that could actually be one of 2 reasons. It could be better shooting because maybe technically their equipment is better. I know in the previous video we were just kind of talking about, you know, lag, input lag when it comes to televisions, how much latency can contribute to bad shooting, response time relative to what you see versus what is actually happening real time. And a lot of that really has to do with your connection speed, your TV type, and a lot of other factors, right? So it could have something, because listen, let me tell you something. Some of you guys may say, oh, it's not really a big deal. Well, let me kind of explain why it is a big deal. Internet speed, input lag when it comes to your televisions, all of those can influence your response times. Your response times by fractions of a second. And a lot of times that fraction of a second can really make or break, either a death on your end or a kill on your end. So in other words, those fraction of a second that you really think doesn't really make that much of a difference, it really can. Because whoever shoots who first and whoever can impact the rounds, first, more than likely, they're going to be the one who's more successful. So either they're better shooters than you by experience, or they're better shooters than you, just because they have better hardware, right? They have higher connection speeds. Maybe they have better televisions. And like I said before, you can kind of read up on this stuff yourself. I didn't really realize it until I actually took the time to get more information about, lag, latency, delayed input with regard to television types. And, like I said before, it didn't really affect me with the other games that I played. Or even if it did affect me, I never just really paid attention to it until recently. But I can definitely tell a big difference between my results now and the results that I had before. Matter of fact, let me just give you a classic example just to give you an idea of how slow my internet was. Now, for a lot of you guys who have been familiar with my channel for a long time, you guys would know that a lot of my videos are like 20 minutes plus, full of commentary. Dude, when I was at home, it would take me like 3 hours just to upload one video. 3 hours for a 20 to 25 minute video. So in most cases, I would just go ahead and upload at night while I'm sleeping. So then by the morning, I would go ahead and make it public for everyone to go ahead and view. Right? But now that I have my boost, a 30-minute video only takes like 20 minutes. 20 to 25 minutes based upon my internet boost. So that's literally 10 times faster than the internet speed that I previously had. Right? And like I said before, that definitely makes a difference. Okay, so enough about that. I think I talked enough about internet speeds and how it can contribute to a better playing experience. In addition to that, a wired connection. I'm willing to say that all of those together can give you a far better experience than, with a wireless connection and obviously a lower internet speed. All right, so enough about that. We're doing beacon retrieval. And with the beacon retrieval, you always want to have your spawn beacons somewhere placed in the middle, right? Because unlike beacon theft, you already know where to drop a beacon for the most part, because you know that you have to steal the opposition's beacon. No problem. Beacon retrieval, on the other hand, a lot of times you might want to place it somewhere in the middle, because the beacons are going to be dropped in a random location, and once it's dropped in that location, you kind of want to be the first one to get it. And see, this is where the assault class really come into play. The assault class, especially with the speed boost, are really important with regard to pursuing these missions. And I think I talked about this a little bit in the previous video, wherein I was talking about passive versus aggressive assault class players. Right, and here's another thing that I do. Now notice this gaggle fuck right here. I dropped right on top of their spawn beacon as they're coming in. And see, one thing that I really hate about that spawn, one thing I really hate about spawning in is that temporarily invincibility you have when you first come into a world. There are some times where I'm right there, and I swear to God, I remember one time I think I was using a purger, and I swear I let damn near a whole clip And for any of you guys who are familiar with the Purger, you guys would know that it's a lot of rounds before you can no longer use it, or before the cooldown. It takes a lot of rounds before you get to that weapon overheating. I damn near filled a whole clip into like 2 or 3 enemies, and due to that spawn invincibility, like they didn't even flinch, they didn't even die. But you know, as you know, the game goes, they were able to kill me. So you know, one thing, I'm fine with the fact that they have that temporary spawn invincibility. But my thing is, if they're going to be invincible temporarily, then they shouldn't be able to kill you either. Now, I think that would kind of be a happy medium. Now, like I said before, it's not too many things I complain about, and it's really not that bad because all you have to do is back off, right? You don't necessarily have to sit there and engage. But I'm just saying, if I just had to do anything with regard to that, I would maintain the invincibility, but I would also keep it to where they can't kill you as well. So in other words, you're not going to get a freebie by being invincible to my attacks, but then you can get free kills to your benefit. No, it wouldn't work like that. But like I said before, it's not that much of a big deal because now that I know that's the way. Well, actually, I can't say now that I know because it was like that in previous Killzone games. Since I know this about the temporary invincibility, all you have to do is back off, right? You don't have to sit here and try to, you know, camp them as they spawn in. All you have to do is back off. That's a quick fix, right? All right, so things are getting heated. Still doing the beacon retrieval. If you guys notice, they are the holders of the beacon. So, seeing that they are the holders of the beacon, you know, I'm kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You know, because on one hand, you can go ahead and chase after the beacon. Or, on the other hand, you can try to defend the drop-off point. And like I said before, this is one really, well, this mission, actually a lot of missions. I can't even say this mission. Just a lot of missions in general. You really need to have a good group of aggressive assault class players. Especially with the speed boost. Because think about it. Let's just say the opposition has the beacon. And let's just say they have just a random Joe Schmuck using the beacon. Well, guess what? With the speed boost, I mean, you get to run so fast, in a lot of cases, you get to catch up with them. Or, you know, when you're the one with the beacon, the assault class can go ahead and get there faster than a lot of the other teammates, right? If they're the carrier of the beacon. But, you know, you have so many passive assault class members. And actually, it's always an obvious difference. At least I can tell. Whenever you're playing an experienced group versus playing noobs, right? Because I've played against some teams that it just seems like they just cannot be stopped. And it's not necessarily because they're just so awesome, but in most cases it's just because, now if you guys notice this, somehow I got up to number 3 and I came in late, right? Somehow I'm at number 3, yet I came in late. Right, because when I came in, we were down 2 missions, and not only were we down, we were halfway into the 3rd mission. So now this is the 4th mission, and somehow I'm number 3. But it just goes to show, with, you know, good placement. I mean, just really utilizing that support class. You know, you can really benefit from not only getting points, but helping contribute to your team's win. So, I mean, like I said before, for a lot of these guys who have been around for a while, I mean, they kind of know this crap already, right? I'm basically talking to a lot of the guys who are newer to the game. You know, they're just kind of lost in the sauce. You know, they're just picking classes just for the sake of picking classes, but not necessarily. And actually, speaking of picking classes just for the sake of it, I'm really going to start working on this scout class. I know I've said this in previous videos, but I'm really going to do it because I get so sick and tired of these scout class members not being tactical. For example, let me give you a little example. I've had to play a lot of scout class so that I can get the unlocks. I am lacking so many scout class unlocks that it's a shame. And it's only because it's my least favorite class. But whenever I play it, I try my hardest to be tactical. I try extremely hard. And there's a lot of missions that these guys could really be tactical. Let me give you an example. Any beacon mission, each and every beacon mission, the scout class can be tactical. Actually, let me take that back. I don't know about the beacon safeguard. Beacon safeguard maybe is a little more difficult. But the other two, the beacon theft and the beacon retrieval, these scout class need to be a lot more tactical. Let me give you an example. They have these laser trip mines, right? And with as many people that love to use this scout class, I really do not understand why as soon as they get the announcement for beacon retrieval or beacon theft, I really don't know why the first thing these scout noobs don't do is take a laser trip mine or a remote C4 and drop that remote C4 either on the beacon or the drop-off point, preferably the beacon. Actually, I won't even say the drop-off point, but preferably the beacon. Drop a remote C4 or a laser trip mine on the beacon itself. Because think about it, and I've done this plenty of times. And like I said before, I think I'm going to just start uploading some footage, but it's just not really the best footage because the weapons suck. But, you know, aside from, you know, getting a lot of kills and all that, I think I might just do one for the most part just to demonstrate tactics for that class. But if you put a laser trip mine directly on the beacon, they will not be able to carry it far. Like, they might pick it up, but as soon as they run past somewhere else, it's going to explode. 9 times out of 10, however, if you place it directly on the beacon, it's going to explode, right? So that's one less carrier that you have to worry about. And this is just one person who may place a laser trip mine on the beacon. We're not talking about, because you know these scout class, they love to camp. And with them camping, you know, a lot of times on these beacon missions, they're somewhere near the base. So if they're somewhere near the base, I don't know why they don't just say, okay, well, let me just stop my camping and let me go throw a laser trip mine on these beacons. That way, that'll at least slow the opposition down from being able to pick them up. Because, you know, the more people I can slow down, that's less likely that they are to carry it to their side. But they don't think like that. I don't know why, but they don't. Another thing with the remote C4, you can do the exact same thing. Dude, I have camped so many times. I'll drop a remote C4 exactly on the beacon, and as soon as it picked up, you know, I'll let them run a little bit, let them think they're going to get somewhere, hit the trigger, blow, and they explode, right? So that prevents them from getting a win with the beacon, or at least it slows them down. You can't say it prevents them, because if they have backup, all they'll do is pick it up and continue on with marching on toward the end point. So I really don't know. And not even that, dude, laser trip mines, dude, you can do so many things. Here's another tactic, especially in the penthouse. You know what I do with my laser trip mines? I put them on the top of the door railings. Either put them on the top or the sides of the door railings. Another thing, whenever there's like capture and connect or capture and hold, put that laser trip mine exactly on the capture hold post. Or, you know, if it's, let's just say it's capture and connect and you're camping like most scout class do, which I'm fine with them camping, but at least benefit the team somehow. You know, let's just say they're going to sit here and camp, and let's just say it's capture and connect. As soon as you see that it's capture and connect, hurry up and throw a remote C4 on that first, second, or third capture point. Once you see that the opposition is taking over that point, you just sit there and wait till it's like 2 or 3 of them there, black out. You blow that boy up, and then they're less likely to get that, especially if they don't have a lot of support class following suit right behind them to revive them. So there's plenty of ways that these guys could be tactical, but for some whatever reason, all they care about is getting these ridiculous, you know, cloak kills that don't really benefit anyone. Now, there is one particular player that every single time I play against that guy, he is so freaking annoying. And it's mainly because he's really good with the scout class. And this guy's name is, I think it's like Pink Hat or something like that. And I played with him. Dude, that guy is so freaking annoying because he lays laser trip mines. He lays remote C4. he does those freaking those melees, those cloak kills. He is so annoying, but it's mainly because he's just really effective with the scout class. So, you know, even though that guy really annoys me when I'm playing in an opposite team from him, it's really an acknowledgement of how well he plays that class, right? And I think if there are a lot more pink hats out there, that scout class, I swear, would be such a terror to any group, because there's so much potential. Now, aside from the weapons, because I particularly don't really like the weapons, but that's just a personal preference type thing. Aside from the weapons, you can really be an annoyance with the scout class. So like I said before, I'm not really the best with the scout class because it just simply does not fit my playing style. But what I will do is upload a few videos talking about the scout class and showcasing and describing how players can be a lot more tactical and beneficial to the team. Alright, so if you guys notice, we started off at a 0-2 deficit. We're finally at a 3-3 tie, and we're doing capture and move. And actually, I've been doing pretty well with this mission. Now, in the next video I'm going to showcase is basically, I mean, you're just paired off with a team of either bad shooters or a lot of inexperienced players. Because in the next video, I think we're going to be in the slums, and I mean, we drop, and there's 3 of us. I know I dropped spawn beacons everywhere. I dropped a few ground support turrets to, you know, add to the suppressive fires. But no matter what we did, like, we got swept. And, you know, when I was playing them, I said, you know what? I don't like to discredit people, but I don't think they're all that better as far as, you know, just being just a super OP team. I just think they're a lot more organized. And in a lot of cases, even if you have players who are not the best, as long as they are organized collectively, they will do far better than, you know, 1 or 2 individuals that are really good individually. So, I mean, it just kind of comes with the game, especially when you're playing with randoms. All right, so we are just about done with the capture and move. And you guys can notice by the top bars, we have gotten a lot more kills than they have with regard to the capture and move. So it looks like we might win this next mission. Now, one thing with the capture and move, I don't know if a lot of you new guys may know this, but one thing that you can do is the capture and move points change every minute, right? So if you guys notice that you're maintaining a stronghold on a capture and move point, you can basically abandon it once you get around, let's just say 10 seconds or lower. Because at 10 seconds, you know, if you've been able to maintain that capture and move point, more than likely they're not going to do anything in 10 seconds. So you could just go ahead and prepare yourself for the next location. All right, so it looks like we have, actually we're at a tie, once again, we're at a tiebreaker. And by the looks of the green bar at the top, this mission is pretty much over. We just need either a few more kills or for the time to be exhausted. Right, so that's how it goes. Either you get a certain amount of kills to end the mission, or the time is exhausted. And I believe in these Guerrilla Games created war zones, all of the missions are somewhere around 5 minutes or so. Alright, so we're almost done, and basically all we have to do is sit back and wait to see what the next mission will be. Alright, let's see. Alright, search and destroy attack. So obviously what we need to have is a spawn beacon relatively close to the objective, but not too obviously close to where it can hurry up and be taken down. Now keep in mind the incentive for more, because you know, if you guys pay close attention, there's a lot of support class on this team. And you would think with more support class on the team that you would see more spawn beacons, more ground support turrets, and more air drones. And this is one of the major things that really confused me about a lot of people who select to use support class, but well, actually who who actually select to use support class, but they're not playing the support class. Because it's kind of like, dude, if you're not going to do anything with the abilities, then you just might as well go ahead and run assault. Like, in other words, if all you want to do is run and gun, just go ahead with the assault. Because if you guys notice, okay, so we have 2 up. So that's a good thing. Mine is relatively close. It's, you know, out of sight and out of mind as the VSA are facing, right? Because see, I used to put them on this side, but then they would just throw grenades up there and throw them down. So then I said, you know what? I don't think it's a good idea for me to keep it on the inside because they're easily exposed and the opposition can take them down. Now keep in mind, there's plenty of locations that you can place them. This is just one of many, right? And this is why, once again, I call the support class the brains of the operation, because you have to take a lot of things in consideration with regard to spawn beacon placement, turret placement, and, you know, perhaps even supply crate placement as well. So I know you guys are probably thinking like, dude, what are you doing? You're just sitting there. Well, actually, I was just kind of waiting until I was able to drop my ground support turret again, right? Because it was still idling and getting ready for me to drop. Alright, so luckily I still have the spawn beacon up, but if you guys notice, I went straight back to the spawn beacon because seeing that the spawn beacon had been up for a while, I know that it's going to go down soon. And to the extent that I am still alive, I need to hurry up and get another spawn beacon there. Now keep in mind, this should not be the only way of thinking for one individual. This is and actually this is what makes or breaks a team in a lot of cases. Now, like I said before, there are some cases where you can have several guys dropping beacons, dropping turrets, reviving and everything, but you just get outplayed. In some cases, it's because your team was a little more organized. In other cases, you know, I mean, they were better organized and had better shooters for whatever reason. Right? So it looks like it just is what it is. So if you guys notice, we went from a 0-2 deficit, to winning the game 5-3, and a lot of that really has to do with a good support class. Can't reiterate that enough. Alright guys, so that's it for this particular video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time, Martyrs Brigade is